welcome back to Aether. Again, this is Satomi and Paul from Sakasa.ca, and now we have special guest Anna again. And
Anna again, that's
Anna from AwakenedYou.ca, and thank you for coming. I don't know, 4 weeks in a row. Yeah.
So you're by far you're like setting a whole new level for guest appearances.
I love it.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on, and thank you for watching, everybody. And today's going to be the last one of the year. So whoever is getting ready to end this year and saying goodbye and then welcoming the new year. Everybody, usually most of the people have some, this year was this, like this, and next year, right, it's going to be like this. I'm hoping it's going to be like this. So it's a good time of the year that when you want to release something, release as much as you can so you can welcome the new year, right? So shifting and awakening and letting go, all those things. So I'm going to talk about some episodes, some stories about us, and some exercise that we can share. Lots of stuff today.
We're finishing up, I think, the fourth part in our Making the Impossible Inevitable series here with Anna, our special guest, Anna Orlinska from AwakenedYou.ca, transformational coach, and guest extraordinaire. And she is offering a special promotion. So if you stay through to the end of the show, you'll get to check out that promotion. And as always, questions and comments are welcome. So any of our guests out there that are watching the show, send in your questions and we'll be happy to address them here. With all that being said, of course, we'd love you to subscribe to our channel and share and like if you enjoy this episode. And thank you for joining us here. So let's dive in, and we're continuing our conversation about how when the current way is no longer acceptable, and you hit something, and you there's change that comes in. The question is, how is it that when you've been trying so long to make a shift in your life, and it's been frustrating, right? We've all been there. We get really, it's really hard, because we do end up with a lot of very difficult conditions in our lives, health, whether it's relationship, whether it's a career or just anything like that. We end up with things that really make it hard for us to just get through the day, get through the week, the month, the year, get through our lives. And we try hard, very hard, to be our best and to make a shift and to get somewhere where we're trying to get to our goals. But something holds us back. And so it seems like it's impossible, right? But then at some point it shifts all of a sudden. But then you're also up against fear, right? Fear comes in because it can be difficult to, be careful what you wish for, kind of thing, right? Kind of like, what are you actually getting with this change? Is the change safe? Is it actually in your best interest? So all that stuff comes in, that fear of the unknown and everything. And so just in spite of that, something still does shift. And we're going to continue our focus on that today. And it's going to help us address exactly why that happens. And we'll talk a little bit about that, how we explained it before, Anna. Your guides, you tuned in and you got that I'll let you explain how that worked, and we can maybe start as a starting point, and then we can go into the specifics today about what we're going to focus on, what part of it. Like that's to remind people why it shifts at a certain point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even up until doing this episode, I was questioning that because I've had many experiences where something felt impossible to do at one point, and then at another point, there was still fear there, but I was doing it anyway. And so it was like, why, like, how did I reach this point? What happened? Like, why did I get here? And I tuned into my guides and I asked them, and I said, what happens here? And they're like, well, when you're healing, you're raising your vibration on your etheric level, on your spirit level. And at the beginning, our physical body, our fear body may not be matching that. So it's almost like we want to do it. We know we need to go here. However, our habits are quite not matching that vibration level that we've reached to. So over time, while we continue to heal and release the emotions and the belief patterns and all that, our fear-based body, our physical body starts to match that higher vibration level. And when they begin to match, this is when the habits start to match that vibration, that higher level that we've reached to on the spiritual and the etheric realm. And so what has been like a message that's been coming through very strongly for me recently is that all these moments where we feel like we're trying to do something and we're not getting the result we want, we are actually moving forward. We are moving forward. It's just we haven't hit that perceived end game that we're trying to attain. So our fear-based mind goes, well, we're not moving forward at all. But we're slowly matching that fear-based body up to the etheric body, where then suddenly that click happens, and now our habits are matching that healing vibration level that we've been doing through meditation, through energy, through whatever modality that we've been raising that bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sounds familiar.
Good.
Clients and through watching Paul, and especially like you were mentioning, like you are moving forward, right? But sometimes the fear tells you, no, you're not, right? And then fear tells you to give up, right? You're not moving forward. You're not making any change.
You'll never make it.
Yeah, you are still in pain, right? You still have fear, and then you want to give up, right? But no, you are moving forward, right? You might not feel like it when you are having a rough day, right? Those are the days that you feel you want to give up, right? On those rough days, you feel like you're not moving forward, but you want to step back. If you compare something, right? Just step back and compare right now and a month ago or a few months ago. Just little thing, if you compare, and you will be able to see the difference. But the fear and ego makes you not to look at those one, and then makes you focus on right now you're having a hard day, right? And then you don't want that anymore, and then that's what you're doing. It's not helping. Look at you. You're having a rough day today, right? That means it's not working, right? And then makes you want to give up. But if you step back, actually, like you're saying, you are moving forward, and that's something that you want to recognize it. For yourself.
And that's partly why you have that exercise of celebrating the little things, right? The little accomplishments along the way, because then you are giving, because we're very hard on ourselves, is what you're talking about, right? We're very hard on ourselves, And when we're hard on ourselves, it doesn't help us achieve anything. It's part of that negativity,
That's just
that weight.
disempowering.
Yeah, it's
ourselves.
the weight of that negativity, an old negative habit that keeps us stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And you often encourage people to celebrate little things,
Mm-hmm.
little tiny, even the littlest thing, getting out of bed
Mm-hmm.
can be a
Mhm.
giant accomplishment on some days, right?
Mhm.
Those
Yes.
really, really hard days. And just doing the simple things of getting through the day, making some food and doing dishes and that kind of stuff, or getting to work and just performing at your job, being able to do that and not fall apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because of everything being as much pressure as we're under all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traffic can be pretty hard to get through in the morning, right? That kind of stuff. So when you celebrate that you're able to do that simple thing, each one of those things I mentioned, and give yourself credit instead of being hard on yourself for what you didn't accomplish, then that helps with with raising that energy more, like Anna was saying, that raises your energy higher and or prevents it from being pulled down. Maybe that's another way to say it, right? And as your energy level, your vibration is coming up, then at that certain point you're going to reach where then you can change the life habits. You can make the real change in your life that was impossible before, right?
Right.
So that's definitely an important aspect of it. Yeah.
And then Anna, you had this experience, I guess, that was your vibration, physical body was coming up and start to match. And do you remember the exact moment or something? This is what's going on, right? Do you,
The exact moment, I don't know. I believe it's gradual, our healing, but it was, and now I know I manifested it, but a life event occurred. And I had the awareness of, because typically, even though it's a brand new event in one realm, it really mirrors a lot of other things that we've been through in the past. So I had the awareness to go, okay, before, when this type of event or this energy of this event occurred, I reacted this way. Now I'm reacting a totally different way, right? And so I could see the growth and honor that. And did that mean that fear didn't play in it at all? No, I was still feeling terrified at that moment. However, my habits, my action choice was very different, right? And so I think it happens gradually. I mean, for some there is like an instant click, but in my experience, it's gradual. The click, I think, was more the awareness that I noticed that something, oh, wait a minute, I'm acting very differently. I'm making a very different choice right now than I had in the past, right? Another thing that came through, just with regards to moving up and moving forward or matching the vibration level, the very job of our ego is to keep us stagnant, is to keep us in the same place because it perceives that this place is safe, right? So when we are moving forward, and I reached a point where when I feel like I'm going backwards, I celebrate that, because what is the ego going to do when it perceives that we are actually moving too forward for its comfort level? It's going to throw every fear at you. It's going to go, whoa, wait a minute. No, you still feel this. You still fear that. So when I feel at the depths of despair, yes, I allow those emotions to process, but there's another part of me that celebrates, because I'm going, ha, ego, you're freaking out because I'm actually moving forward. And that's why I'm feeling so bad right now, because you're trying to pull all the stops to get me to stop. And it moves me into another space of just allowing that to come through, and also celebrating not getting kind of trapped in that fear-based story, right? It's when I shifted that perspective, it changed a lot in my processing moving forward. And I could even get a little bit of comedy and laughter of it through it too, even feeling the worst that I felt, right?
Yeah, that is like that you have that wisdom, right? And that's beautiful. And that's lots of times we share with the clients, like celebrate when they are processing, going through the process, and they have this enormous negative feeling after like a healing session, right? And feeling worse and feeling angry, and especially this client. I am so angry. And what's going on? And it's good. It's good. It's coming to the surface. You suppressed and deeply inside, so you cannot feel and you cannot even be aware, right? But that's playing the boss game, and now it's coming to the surface, so you can say bye, right? But sometimes you're coming to the surface, you see it right in front of you, but that's a good sign. It's because you're ready to let go, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's time to celebrate for sure. Yeah. So
Yeah, you're kind of a saint, because that's happened so many times. And I mean, just in a regular relationship, that's going to be rough. And your partner is like just all this blah is coming out, right? Because I had all that buried pain, all that buried emotional damage. Is just, but and you doing stuff, you actually volunteer to come along and help me bring that stuff up, and you know what's coming because it's happened so many times. And then when it's happening, you're just like, and I say to you, because I get caught up in it, I'm like, oh, what is going on? I'm in pain. I'm in physical pain, right? And I'm not myself. I'm just a really grumpy person, and you're just like, well, it's coming up. It's going. You're processing. You keep your distance. Wow, I'm very grateful. So
yeah, so it's something that lots of people don't know. They mistake that's happening as a bad thing instead of it. Actually, it's a positive healing process, right? So yeah, that's I'm glad that you brought up and mentioning that. That's lots of people need a reminder about that.
Right. Well, that's the reason the ego does it. It wants to keep us in that. It's not bad. It really wants to keep us safe, and that's how it perceives it has to be to keep us safe, right? And so it will throw out all the stops. So I think even working with you guys was a very low moment for me. But even then I was able to, I'm like, oh, if this is the lowest moment I've been in a long time, I'm really shifting, because my fear-based brain is really throwing out everything I can imagine right now. Right.
Yeah. That you like you didn't lose the connection to your power, even you are feeling low and like the feeling like you are at the very bottom, you still are able to feel there's something here,
Right. Right.
You never lost it. Like you were saying, you're crying and you're feeling so like upside down, and everything was just like you felt like you were I don't know what would be the word, but just worst emotional state that be, right? And still you never lost that connection. You like every time I know I'm feeling really bad, but I know I know this is working, right? And that strong connection, and that was so beautiful. So
Thank you.
the wisdom, right?
Thank you.
And now you sharing those the wisdom with other clients, and that's lucky clients, right? So
Because that's in all of us. It's in all of us. It's not just,
yeah.
you know,
Mhm,
it's available to all of us. So,
But some people feel like they lost connection, right?
right.
Lots of people don't feel like they don't believe they have it, right? So it's if someone can remind them that yes, you have them, right, and you can still connect, right? That's gonna help lots of people
Yes.
feel,
Yeah.
right?
So that kind of brings me to the question, Anna, that we were talking about including here, is that has the choice to stay the same been taken away in that situation? Was it for you, or were you simply determined to change? Is that
I think in some moments, it may have felt like it was taken away, but I can recognize that that was just the ego, because and those moments it was like I'm doing this thing that terrifies me and I'm still doing it. And in that moment, it was like, I'm just doing it. Yet I feel like that's where the choice was taken away from me. It's like, even though the fear was there, I'm still going. And it was like, it's like, I didn't have a choice. I did, because I made the choice long ago to choose the habit to move me to where I wanted to be. But when you have fear just like firing up exponentially and you're still going through it and still doing it, it's like, why? like I don't have a choice in this. I'm just going to do it. I'm terrified. And so but again, it's just your, the fear-based brain, your habitual body matching this newer, higher vibration. And in that, it's beautiful. And when you move through that fear and do it anyway, the fear starts to lose its grip on you, because you now have evidence going back. It's like, whoa, I was like terrified then, but I did it anyway. Okay, I'm terrified now, right? I can move through this again. Also, I've done it before, right? And so it is, I joked out loud, because there's many times I'm like, I don't have a choice, and I do, but I'm choosing to move forward, right? And again, that choice started long ago.
Yeah. And you said you have a story to share about you going through, you having this enormous fear, but you are going through not listening to fear.
Right. Yes. It happened very recently. So on my healing journey, I'm always open to whatever modality. People talk to me about it. I tune in, I listen to see if that resonates. Plant medicine is something that for the longest time in my journey was a hard no. I would tune in. It would be no. I would clamp up. It was like I had this, I'm going to reach this point on my own, and that's important. But I had a friend call me up, and she had the same thought process at that point. But she's like, they're talking about this plant medicine, and I'm tuning in, and my whole body's saying yes. And as she's talking, I'm tuning into my body, and my whole body's going yes. And my mind is going, what do you mean yes? Like I'm starting to have this internal argument with myself. I was like, no, that must be wrong. I must be tuning into something else. So I would tune it again, and it would go yes. And so all of a sudden, before I know it, because I really trust this intuition and this yes feeling within myself, I'm like, I'm signing up for this plant journey. Everything that could have stopped me fear-wise to even get there was present. It was in the winter. I needed to drive 8 hours to get there. And it just so happened it was going to be icy and snow. That is like, I've had a few accidents on the ice and snow, so that's generally a hard no. But
just so our viewers know, Anna, like we all three of us, we all live in British Columbia, and in the winter, in the mountains, it's a little bit dicey driving.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
you've just recently moved into that region. BC. That's more so like that than where we typically have been, like near Vancouver. It's more like Seattle kind of thing, right? That's where you lived for a long time in that area,
Yeah.
where you live now. But in the rest of BC, in the winter, it is winter, and
Yes.
it is
And
and
yes,
up and down.
It's
down.
in the mountains, it's hilly, it's everything. So, I kept tuning in and it kept saying yes, and I'm signing up and I'm going, okay, the morning of, I'm packing my car. And again, this internal battle's going on. It's like, I'm not going, I'm going to stay home. I'm packing the car and talking like this. Yeah, it was insane. And then I'm driving because I have kids and I'm driving them to where they were going to stay. Same thing. Okay, I'm going to drop them off and I'm going to turn home and I'm just going to stay at home for the 4 days and have a respite myself. I'm not driving. I passed the turnoff to go home. I'm going home and I'm still driving. The whole 8 hours was this argument. I'm turning around, I'm going home. But that's what that feeling was. There was a bigger pull in me to keep going, despite having, I would have loved to, and Paul said this too, but loved to have been a fly on my wall in that car ride, because the whole 8 hours, I was free venting. I did it like with my voice out loud, whatever emotion came up. But still, I got into.
You're literally talking to yourself through this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, nobody can hear me in the car. It was just like, I knew it also needed to be released. It was fear that needed to be released.
Out, like, I'm going home, with the other voice come in. It's like, no, I think it's probably better to keep going. How did that go?
No, it was just, so the out loud part was just the fear. And I think I intuitively knew just that fear needed to be let out. And then just as the intuition part is, it's this nice little quiet voice in the back. So it would I would hear it kind of in a thought form in the back and then, vent out the, the fear voice. So I don't know. It was, yeah, it involved
voice is loud and proud, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was like, and I'm like, if I were to describe terror, I was terrified. I was like, I think my hands were gripped white the whole entire drive there. I've driven 8 hours. I get into the city. It's pitch black. It's starting to snow. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm going to turn around. And then I caught myself. I'm like, wait a minute, you just drove 8 hours and you're going to drive 8 hours back home? No. And it was almost that moment. I think I had released everything that needed to be released in that moment, and my whole system calmed down and I was able to move through. But there were still some moments, even when the morning of, it's like, I'm not doing this. I'm like taking the plant medicine. I was like, I'm not doing this. And I was like, you are doing it. It was a beautiful experience all in itself, but it really opened my eyes to, wow, that fear-based brain, it was loud and proud, but it didn't have this hold on me anymore. And there was that I had shifted that, that motivating factor, I guess, that, but it was.
In the past, those voices would have come up and said, no, this is a hard no, I'm not doing it. And it would have been a no.
Oh, hands down. I would have canceled. I would have, I think it was that started probably about 2 days before I was going to leave. And in the past, I would have just canceled. And that, again, at that point in my journey, that's where I needed to be in my journey. I do know intuitively that had I done the plant medicine then and kind of just forced myself, I wouldn't have been ready energetically. I probably would have had a bad experience with the plant medicine. It wouldn't have resonated the way that it had, right? So there was, I was where I needed to be before when I would have said no. However, I also knew that I was ready to do this and it would accelerate my healing forward. But it was a beautiful example of this. It was terror, but I was still doing it. And 8 hours of of this, right?
And here you are. You're on the other side. You're not.
I am.
You're not like damaged from the experience in any way. You've actually been able to move forward, right?
Yes. No car accident. None of that happened. It was it was actually, looking back, despite all that fear coming up, it was a very easy commute home and back. And the experience of the plant medicine, I don't know that I would call that easy. It wasn't one of the easier ones. But I was in a safe space to have that happen. And yes, the repercussions of that following was nothing but good. Right. So.
So, but you wouldn't say that 8-hour driving wasn't easy, right?
It wasn't. See, my internal is arguing with me again. The drive itself, if I had completely removed the fear, it actually wasn't a hard drive. I was never slipping and sliding and going every. So if I look at it at that point, it was actually a very easy drive. The experience of it, because I was releasing fear at the same time, was terrifying. Was there actually something occurring in my physical world that would have caused me to be terrified? No. Right? It was just, it was coming up so I could let it go. Right.
That's just the nature of fear, right? It doesn't need to be anything real based on anything at all. Like nothing. I mean, my anxiety, I've been fine this moment and terrified the very next moment just to be here. Just be right, just to be sitting here, if I'm just by myself, whatever, just to exist can be terrifying, right? And that's how the PTSD was working on me. Yeah, it's just it doesn't need to be based on a single shred of anything real whatsoever. So it's just phantom, just complete phantom.
It's based on a past experience, right? It's trying to prevent you from experiencing that again. Right. But so just because it happened before doesn't mean it's going to happen this time.
Yeah. And catastrophic thinking about it too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't easy. You were saying it was kind of terrified that going through the fear, dealing with the fear, and so you're heading this direction and fear is saying that direction, right? But so lots of people listen to fear and turn around and go back. But fear, if it's fear, if it's like a really some danger happening right now to you, and then you feel fear, that's something that it's very important. You need to feel the fear, right? But nothing is happening and you're feeling fear, then that lots of times you need to go down deeper and find why I'm having this fear, right? Then you'll be faced a fear, and then you can really choose for yourself, right? Instead of just listening to fear and then make a choice. Make a choice for yourself so you can grow and you can move forward, right? So that's that can be tricky, but just you sharing the experience, what you went through recently, hoping that helps other people understand, oh, okay, maybe I'm just listening to fear and making choice, fear-based choice, right? And then they can realize they have different choice that they can make.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes that action, and this comes up, and I've experienced this with clients as well, is that sometimes we can tune in and we know which action we want to take, and we know that not taking it is based on fear. However, if we chose the non-fear way, we may not be at a place where that may be super beneficial. Like it will actually traumatize us further instead of move us to the healing. So it's always this comfortable, uncomfortable spot. So it's like, okay, you want to make this choice, but maybe fully going down that road, excuse me, is too much for you right now. What's a choice you can make that's you're in that comfortable, uncomfortable spot where you're still uncomfortable, but it doesn't feel like devastating, like you're going to die. And then make that shift slowly to fully go down
Yeah.
that path, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times our ego is just like, no, it's one or the other. It's like, no. It doesn't have to be one or the other. There's these like all these paths in between to go
Steps,
through.
right? Little steps. Yeah. You can just focus on the first step, what you can do, instead of
Yes.
that's where I need to go, and then you're setting bar up high, and then no, I don't think so. And the fear is, hey, I can make you fearful right now, right? And then so yeah, you don't want to look at like the goal, final goal, but then you just look at here. This is what you can do right now. Make this choice, right? And then
Right.
if you did this one, then next one, right? So
Right.
yeah, that's something that also people forget, and no, I can do this, and then this empower themselves. But the bar doesn't have to be high, just
No.
the lowest you can set. Start from there, right?
Yes.
Just really
Yes.
first one step and what you can do, right? So then it's doable, and it's not that scary, and it's safer, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like
Yeah.
that experience I shared, though I was feeling terror through it, I've had many experiences before where it's not like I just all of a sudden decided to do the most terrifying thing and move through it. I've had lots of experiences where I did it with the fear present, but it was at a lower extreme. So it's almost like not tolerance isn't the right word, but maybe a way, like built up my tolerance to believing and trusting that I can move through that fear. Where in the past, if that much terror was present for me, I wouldn't have gone through because I would have been in the terror, right? Instead of being able to have those two awarenesses. That's what was happening within me. There was like these two conversations, and I could choose which one I wanted to listen to. But that being at this point has not happened for me overnight, right? There's been a lot of steps to getting to that place.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a false dichotomy that gets set up in your mind that if you don't, the fear says, if you don't listen to me, there's danger,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm telling you, there's danger, and we also know that fear has a lot of strong connection to our shadow self, to our ego, right? But it's not as though you want to. The path forward, the healthiest path forward, isn't to fight fear.
Mm-mm.
It's to instead to say, okay, you're like, you pretend you're at a meeting kind of thing, and you're like, okay, so you got something to say at the table here. So what is it you would like to say? What's the message you have for me, fear? What is it you're concerned about? Oh, okay, that something disastrous could happen. Well, that's a point. I got that. Thank you for that. And I'll drive carefully, right? Like you're driving across the province in the middle of winter. I will drive carefully. It's okay. I got this. But thank you for the message. And then you take control back, right?
Right.
As you,
Right.
not if you're just letting fear take full control, then you're going to be not able to function. That's what ends up happening, right? You can't function properly, let alone make good choices or do all kinds of other things. Be it live a happy, healthy life. You can't do that if fear is in charge. You simply can't. So, but it's not as though you fight it and push away and try to silence fear, because fear has an essential place in our life, right? Mm-hmm. We need it. We need to have some awareness of our environment, that there could be things that could go sideways, right? You're walking across the crosswalk. You want to make sure that you're aware of the traffic, right? Fear says, it's a good idea to stay aware of the traffic here. You know, it could, if it was out of control, it could be like, I can't cross the crosswalk because something bad could happen, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
fear's control. If you're not paying attention to fear whatsoever, you don't even like bother looking. You just walk right out there, like no traffic, right? And who knows what could happen, right? So there's a healthy medium. It's not this false dichotomy. Like fear says, if you don't listen to me, the bad things can happen, right? And part of you might be saying like, well, I've got to shove aside fear and not listen to it. So that's not actually healthy. What you want to do is to, because it's part of us, it's our instinct. It serves an important role for self-preservation, that we want to be able to let it have a voice at the table in the meeting, right? In the meeting inside of our mind, inside of ourself, or our emotions, and of our total self here, fear has a voice at the table, but it's only as an advisor when something new comes up, right? Has the opportunity to raise its hand. Not necessarily every time, but when something new is coming along, sure, okay, I'll pay attention to you, fear. I'll let you have a little say at the table. Thank you for that message. I appreciate it. Be grateful for it, right? And then take charge of the meeting again, right? So that's basically a healthy way to work with it.
Right. Yes.
It could be, right? So what is it that you feel that from that experience of driving to the plant medicine healing work that you did so far, and it takes such a big journey and that kind of thing, and the big risk of using plant medicine you never had up to that point, and you found that it helped you move forward, and it's all beautiful, but what is it, do you feel like choice had been taken away from you on this whole matter?
Well, that's again where I was, kind of alluding to earlier, is that that whole fear came up, but I was, it was like my mind was saying one thing, but my body was actually doing something completely different. So in a sense, it felt like I didn't have a choice in going to that plant medicine journey. Okay. However, right, I did, because I had set that intention a long time ago to heal and to follow my intuition and to follow the guidance and to grow and to enlighten and to evolve, right? Mm-hmm. And so checking it's not fair to say that I didn't actually have a choice. I could have easily gone home, but it was the inner knowing was greater for me at that moment, right? This pull. And so I joked that it didn't feel like I had a choice because I was having this, argument with myself between both bodies. But it was a choice. I was choosing not to listen to the fear at all. And yes, still to tune in though. It was like, I would hear the fear going, it's icy conditions. You can, like fall off the road. You'll be in the middle of nowhere and no cell service and no one's going to find you, all this lovely jazz that it likes to do. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go 30K down the road on the left-hand side if I need to, right? Or I'll crawl at 20. It doesn't matter how long it takes me to get there. And then it kind of calmed that reason kind of, okay, well, you're like crawling at, 10, 20K down the road. If you're feeling scared, you're, that is safer, right? So it was, these things were still, I was still listening to it at the table, but it was, it was very much still present. And so that's where it felt like the choice was taken away, because I was doing it regardless of this fear, but really I still had the choice that whole time, right?
Mm-hmm. So that's like a internal, you can say, the exercise you do when fear comes up, like just listening to your inner voice, and you listen to your fear too, and then you still listen to your inner voice or authentic self. And then you were saying like a pull, right? You feeling the pull, like sometimes you don't know why, but you just feeling the pull, and that's your intuition is pulling you to this way, and then trusting, right?
Yes.
So that's the idea of exercise you usually do when you go into that kind of situation.
Yes. Yeah. I use this quite frequently. So it's very similar to muscle testing, right? And so when we make a decision that's based in our alignment, we feel expansive. We feel excited to do it. It's light, expansive. When it goes against our, what we should be doing in the moment, we tighten up. We feel contractive. We feel, you know, tight. Really, it doesn't feel good. Like we tend to go more into the ball, right? And that's actually our inner being, our inner body guiding us. And I've done it so much that I can literally just put and get my head, awareness out of my head, bring it into my heart space, ask the question, and feel, what it's doing at the time. And even with the driving, yes, should I go? Is it safe to drive? I may have initially felt the contractive, but then it's even taking that step back. It's like, okay, what about if I went 20, on those moments I was fearing, and we got into that expansive mode. Right. So, it's been a beautiful tool, that I've used. And like I said, the more you use it, the more you can really hone in that moment and feel, okay, well, is this like lighting up do I feel lighter or do I feel tighter? Right.
Right. So you mentioned something that interested me is you ask question. Yes, we talked about it, but when you ask question and the first question you ask and you feel like a tension, but you change the question a little bit, right? Is it safe to go to Calgary, right? And then you feel tension, but next one you change a little bit. If I go slower, it's okay. Then you felt expensive. That's what you say, right? So that's I think it's important steps is instead of just ask one simple that
Yes.
you are scared of already, right?
Yes.
And then finish there. Oh yes, I'm feeling tension, so it's no, right? That's
Right.
instead of just stopping there, going a little bit deeper and change a little bit different and find the way to relax your body. Is there a way that I can relax, right? The goal is there, but is there a way that gives me more relaxing, expansive feeling, right? And then finding and going deeper and finding it. I think it's very important, right? Not so many people doing it, I don't think. But they just ask one question and they feel, no, and then no, that's 100%
Right.
no, right?
Right.
There might be a way that you are missing, right? So that's
Right.
something, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's part of taking, those little steps. And I use this tool with clients. A lot of clients that I have, they have physical ailments, go on with them. And let's say the nutritionist has, prescribed a supplement, right? And for supplements, you have like this generalized, you need to take this amount, right? It's kind of crazy to think the same amount is meant for everybody. And so they tune in or we tune in and they feel contractive on the supplement themselves. And so like right away you would think, okay, you're not meant to take that. But it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Is it the 15 milligrams that you're not meant to take? Or if we put that down to 1, right, then what does the body do? Because we know it's a nutrient that you need, right? And so all of a sudden there's like this expansive feeling in the amount of the nutrient. And then they start taking that and they can build up slowly from there. But it's that same concept of you don't need to go from here to here in one go, right?
Yeah.
There's these little incremental steps and the body knows this. The body is beautiful. It wants to heal. It's our guidance tool. Same with our emotions. When we can begin to tune into those, right? Then the power and the movement forward we can make is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so just little step, one little step, right, to start, and choose that doable one, right, instead
Yes.
of trying to go big step and I want to change, I have to be like this, or no, right?
Right. Or I'm failing. I'm failing if I'm not getting off the couch and go running the marathon instantly. I have failed. Right? This is essentially what we're telling ourselves. It's like, oh no. You need to like train a bit before you can go run that marathon. You're gonna cause more damage by just getting off the couch and going to this marathon, right? So those little steps matter. All right.
Yeah. And even the exercise, do little bit by
Yes.
little, and then practice, and you get better. And you're saying you just pretty much instantly you can feel right now because you've done so much. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah.
So Anna, why do you think that you feel the fear of the plant medicine, for example? In the past, you said no, right? And then this situation came up, and it was a yes, and it did help you move forward. Why is it? What is the difference between before and just recently? So,
Well, with the
no.
for my belief and what I've tuned in from myself, if I'm to go with the plant medicine specifically, but I'm sure we can apply this concept to everything, is plant medicine has a tendency to stir up a lot all at once. And if we don't have those, lower chakras, those grounding chakras set in place, right, then this is where those bad trips, those negative traumatic events occurred. And so, I tuned in after and it said, well, I was doing all that healing to really secure in my grounding and to secure my safety, so to speak, like to integrate that in so that I could fully integrate the experience in a positive way, right? And so it was essentially just I needed to reach a point in my healing where that would benefit me rather than hinder me. And following my intuition on that guided me along that path so that when I did have this experience, it wasn't a negative one, right? It was beneficial for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That makes perfect sense, and that's probably a good explanation for my own experience. Like, but I'm going to bring in another element to this. You were asking earlier about is the choice being taken away from us, or are we just determined? Right, those kind of things. I think is a very interesting question about how life works and how this whole process of growing and healing works, and when it's successful, when it's not, right? And why is it successful and why is it not? And you just brought up something there that the lower work, like a lot of people, they want to open up their third eye kind of thing, right? And really go for it and just be there. I just want to be there, man. I want to have it all together. And know all the answers, but it's frustratingly not easily attained, right? That getting everything in balance is an essential step, and maybe something that we're overlooking. Maybe there's another. So we see this with our clients all the time, and with myself, I see it myself that I want to get to point. I'm here at point A. I want to get to point B. A straight line. That's the way to go, right? When really there's something over here, something very different that I'm not thinking of, that offers the pathway that takes me around and takes me to the bridge where I can get across the river that's preventing me from moving forward, right? So I'm on this side I'm on this side of the river. I want to get to that side. And my thinking is straight line, right? But no, there's a bridge over down this way. So what is that bridge? I mean, like you're saying, the lower chakras being aligned, right?
Right.
And
Right.
doing that root work, the root chakra work, and making sure that you are really grounded so that you're able to handle that major, because plant medicine can be a very impactful, transformative, heavy duty message that just shifts us from one paradigm completely to a different paradigm.
Right.
So to be ready for that impact, that we need to do the preparation work, like you're saying,
Yes.
right? So for myself, like I also find in my experience that the same suffering occurs and recurs, even if it's with a different person. The same dynamic will be set up. Like, I'll just talk about my own experience. I took things personally in the worst way when I was growing up. I didn't know any different, right?
Right.
And so people would say something to me that was, critical or something like that in some fashion. And I'd be like, whoa, right? They must be right and I must be wrong and all this kind of stuff. And that kept happening, right? And then even if I moved out and went to a totally different situation and created another relationship, there it is again, right?
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff ran me, that really ran me down, that whole stuff. A very, very poor self-image, all that kind of stuff. So there was a need for me to learn this lesson somehow. And life was presenting me with an opportunity many times, fully embrace a whole different way of doing things, where I do honor myself, and I do have a good self-image, and I love myself and respect myself and that kind of thing. Whereas, and I don't just automatically think that the other person knows more than I do.
Right.
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 So I'm not giving away my power to other people just automatically like I used to, right? So life was giving me this opportunity all the time. And like, so even when I went to a different situation, I would recreate the same, I would end up in the same dynamic, whether I'm creating it or I'm just finding the right person to do it with.
Right.
So that's the one I want to hang out with, right?
Yes.
So it's an interesting question to say, is the choice being taken away from you, or are we just determined? And I think it's a complicated one. And I mean, I'm determined to not feel miserable in those situations growing up. And yet I feel miserable, and I'm recreating, or at least stuff just kept happening, man. It was just kept coming at me, right? One disaster after another. And all of that negative messaging. Holy crap, man. So at a certain point, I was ready to find the bridge, to do the, instead of kept trying to go across the river and like, hey, you guys, I'm not, there's things you're saying about me. I'm not that, right?
Right.
All this shadow projection, I didn't know what it was, right?
Right.
I'm not that guy. I'm not you imagine me to be this person. I'm not that guy, right?
Right.
So I kept trying to get that message across. Nobody was listening at all, period. Door was shut, right? I had to find the bridge down the way. So I had to figure out, instead of trying to convince other people and to get them to like, hey, see some reason here. No, the way forward was down the way down the river at the bridge, and that was to instead to do the inner work to clean up my own house, so that I wasn't I was learning to lock the doors and the windows, and to establish healthy boundaries, respect myself, all that kind of stuff. And then I was able to be ready for a relationship where there was the respect and there wasn't all that dumping of garbage on me, right?
Right, right.
So, in a sense, life kept putting the situations there. In a sense, I was determined to get somewhere, to be in a healthy, happy, life-creating relationship and life circumstance. And it was not possible in the past. And yet it became possible only after I did the other work.
Right.
So that I think is a fascinating area. Like, and as you're saying, all that doing the other work, like you were saying before, I was raising my vibration to the point where I could shift life habits and have things fall into place, right?
Right, right.
Or I was still my energy, my vibration was too low, and I was trying to get other people to come along with me and be reasonable. Hey man, let's just hang out and be at peace, man.
Right.
No, not gonna work. So it's I think there is, like, at some level, to me, at some level, our higher self is setting this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bring our conscious self to the meeting.
No.
Right? That's what makes sense to me. Like our
Right.
conscious self, the one that has all this determination, that wants to get somewhere and do something, doesn't get invited to the meeting where the higher self is making these decisions and setting up these life circumstances.
Right. I think it's more so, sorry, what I'm hearing now, it's more so we don't know we can go to the meeting.
That our conscious self can go to the meeting?
It doesn't know it can go to the meeting.
You get the same message? I think because she's right.
Trying to, I was distracted by other stuff, so trying to come back here, and so
the question is, life is happening, and it can be very difficult, and we want things to be a certain way.
Yeah, I know that. So meeting, so conscious mind doesn't know that you can go to the meeting. Is that what?
Well, there's like I was saying that it's kind of like there's this, the higher self sets up these life circumstances for ourselves.
I know, I get that. But what Anna said, can you say that again?
Well, yeah, Paul was saying that the higher self sets all these things in motion, and the conscious mind is not invited to the meeting, right, of all these plans of the higher self. And what I said was that, no, the conscious mind doesn't know it can go to the meeting. Not that it's not invited, that it's...
So meeting is the meeting for that all the fear comes to the meeting.
Well, no, it's like
the plan, the life plan.
The life plan. It's like, so if
I'm totally lost. I was something like probably same thing, but I wasn't looking at the meeting. I was looking at something else. So I'm trying to come to that.
I don't think it's just like outside forces for creating our life situation.
No.
And there's something else going on where we're involved in some way in creating our life, right?
Okay.
So
how does that happen? So planning our life.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or our life path, or our higher selves has pre-planned this life path for us.
Doesn't know. Okay, now I'm with you guys. So maybe it doesn't. It doesn't know. I'm feeling like a conscious mind uninvite themselves purposely, so they don't know all the plans, so they receive all the challenges right fully. And because if we know all the plans, this is I'm having this challenge because if I finish this one, I get to be like this, right? and I have this challenges. Yeah, I know it's scary, but actually it's not, right? And we know all the answers, and then
I think you're both right, because I think at a certain point, as we become more aware, then, as Anna said, we can invite ourselves to the meeting.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it suits us better in order to raise the purpose of raising awareness in the world here, in three-dimensional life, in the physical domain here. In order to raise awareness here, we need to do the work, right? We need to create it, and the only way to create it is if we don't go to the meeting first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm hearing is the purpose on that is because if we're in too much of a fear, if we, meet our higher self and get the plan ahead, the fear will stop us from choosing that path that is in our highest best and not going there. But when we heal, we start to see the benefit of moving through those fear places. So it's not a matter of, no, I'm not going through that anymore. It's like, okay, well, I know this is the best path for me, and I'm going to, I'm at the meeting and I'm going to choose to move through that as opposed to avoiding it, right? So I think there's again, in the healing journey, there's a time and a place for all of it, right?
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, that happy medium of having fear there with that voice is the healthiest place to be, because and courage, because it's developing courage as well, right? And grit, because courage isn't not having fear.
No.
Courage is moving forward in spite of the fear being there, right?
Right.
And you're building, you're creating heart, you're creating inner strength, right, with that,
Right.
Which is courage is to appreciate fear, sending us some signs, right? And it wants attention, but you have the control how much attention that you give to fear, right? And then it wants more and more and more and more, right? And you say, okay, I hear you, and you can just be quiet right now, right? And so and appreciate your sign, and thank you very much, but I'm choosing this, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely. So any last comments on it before we
so let
put a
go,
bow on this?
Let go of unnecessary fear as much as you can. The fear that you collected all year, and let go as much as you can, right? You can just pick one at a time, and when fear comes in, do I need this fear? Is this fear helping, right? And is this do I feel expensive, right? And then if it's not, okay, this is not serving me, I'll let go. So you're not carrying all the fear into New Year and repeat the same thing. Right? And so so let's get ready, prepare for letting go.
Prepare for letting go, taking a different perspective on it. Like that fear, why is it there? What's its message? Thank you, fear, for bringing the message, right? And then let's move forward in a positive direction anyway, right? Whatever that is. Yeah. New day, new year coming, 2023 coming.
Yes.
This is the episode for the year. We're taking a break next week because it's Christmas.
And New Year's Day, we're not sure.
Yeah, we're not sure yet about New Year's Day, whether we're going to do that one.
You guys know.
Yeah. We'll send out a message to everybody. But for Anna's got this great offer she's doing. Go to her website, AwakenedYou.ca. if you're listening, check that out right now. Go just type that in and you'll see what comes up. You get a free 20-minute soul reading that she's doing. It's a great offer. I mean, that would be a great way to start the new year, right? Get a understanding of where we're coming from. What's our purpose and all this? What's our place in the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful. So then as well, we have our services. If you want to work through any kind of subconscious stuff that's holding you back, check out our website. And we got some comments here. Yeah. Oh, okay. No worries. So we just want to thank all our viewers for tuning in here. Thank you for sticking with us for 2022. And we love you so much. And come on back. And we'll see you on the next episode of Aether.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.